It's just straight into it. Pushing it out. And it looks like we are live. Welcome back to Aussies taking over the NBA. I didn't turn on the audio, but that's all right. I'll throw that in there really quickly. Welcome back to Aussies taking over the NBA. It is the 12th of April. We're finally back after some disrupted coverage over the last couple of weeks. You going down with a small child to deal with. And yeah, we're back to kind of continue, pick up the pieces of what was happening in this season, this COVID hit season. From our perspective, we've been in Australia kind of chilling out, not many cases here, but it's been a full season almost. There hasn't been any disruptions, anything going on in the US, so it's good to see that happening over there. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that as well as that. The NBA, I think, announced last week that all stadiums will be at full capacity next season. So
sweet.
That's October this year. I think they're going to be back on track as of October. So
that's huge.
That is huge. It's crazy to think that. I think some of the baseball games back in Texas were back at full capacity as well.
Baseball.
So
no one cares about baseball.
And cases are going back up.
Oh yeah, the vaccinations are coming though, aren't they?
They're 30% had first dose over there, so 32 or 33%. I mean, it's such a big population. It's hard to fathom. It's just like people are whinging here because we've only had 1 million people vaccinated. And you're just like, well, there's only 25 million of us. It's not even Texas. I think Texas is bigger than us. But it's just we're in that nether drudge of just we're all kind of know exactly where everyone's going to be in the fight for the postseason, and everyone's playing like they just don't want to get injured, and it's kind of all fucking boring.
Yeah. Sorry, you keep going.
There really is some boring games in this stretch.
It's hard. It's like exhibition type stuff, eh? It's really kind of got a weird vibe to it. And it's almost like the players are starting to get to cotton on to the fact that we don't need to play hard for 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter they just lock in. So there's been a lot of games where they're down 15 to enter the fourth, and it's like, oh my god, they won by 12. Like, what the hell happened here? Because teams just switch on and they come out and blast a team in the fourth quarter after they've been coasting. Philly's done that a couple of times. They
do that a lot. I watch them a lot, and it's just like it's the first 3 quarters just feel like it's just going through the motions, and they've clamped the team down defensively and haven't scored for the last 6 minutes, and it's won. It's just like you could almost just watch the last quarter in a lot of these games to kind of get a sense of competition, because in the first 3 quarters it's just kind of just really going through the motions. It really is. Maybe a little bit before the halftime, but we can probably do a little bit around the league in terms of the Aussies and talk about what's happening there, but. Probably the most disappointing out of this run is Ben Simmons, man. He's been absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Just not been playing well at all. Not aggressive. I think he's had a lot of single-digit games. He's doing the old Draymond Green special, triple singles.
Yeah.
It's not been good to watch. Philly's been,
It's not been good to watch, did you say?
It's not been good to watch. It's been... He's one of those dudes that can explode for 30 points in a night and then just sit back and let everyone else kind of do their thing. And I think that's where this team has kind of got a bit of an identity crisis, is that, it is, the Joel Embiid show, the process, but it's also kind of becoming the Tobias Harris show. And then it's also becoming the Danny Green show. It's kind of like Simmons is just happy to sit back as kind of fifth string and just be like, well, I'll just do what you need. It's not like, no, I will run this team. I will be. It's kind of like, well, I'll just defend and I'll do a few other things, and I'm just going to give it to everyone to score. And I don't know if that's coaching. I don't know if that's, again, this whole kind of coasting down the line sense with this league. Like, what are we, 34-17, 51 games into a 72 game season? We're kind of, most teams will be locked in by now. There's obviously going to be a little bit of fighting in the play-ins. This is kind of new to the NBA. This whole okay, if you're 10th, you can make the playoff, which is weird.
Yeah, I hate that. But yeah, we don't need to talk about that.
No. So it's kind of like that. That's more interesting down that end of the spectrum, as opposed to what's on the top, where Kyrie Irving takes every other game off because he's a little bit sad, and
And then gets ejected the other night.
He just gets ejected for talking to Dennis Schroeder.
And I thought, like, I don't know how Schroeder got ejected in that game. I was like, Schroeder didn't even do anything. He was just standing there. Must have been saying some stuff that you couldn't hear, but it's like, what? Okay, I guess.
It's kind of, who was it? Was it Jamal Murray who passed the ball? Someone passed the ball. It was a while ago now. Passed the ball to the ref in
Reddick.
Reddick, that's it. It just be like, you're out.
Some devilish spin on it. And then he tossed him out of the game. Yeah, it was a great video. That look at that, as a big ass whistle. That was good. It was a really good video. You get really butthurt about sport, but that's the beauty of sports. Get really upset about things that you can't change and can't do anything about. Yeah, this Philly team without Embiid, is there a timeline on Embiid coming back yet, or is he back?
He's back. He's been back for 3 games. They lost 1 to the Pelicans. Look, they won. They won 6 out of the 10 games he's away, which is always a good measure of success. I think that's really important on the back of some good Tobias Harris performances, as well as Danny Green. I think their bench has been okay in time. Shake Milton playing well. The rest kind of finding, some deep rhythm. Dwight Howard and Ben Simmons being on the floor at the same time is not working too well, and that's been an issue. But hopefully that's good sorted out. But again, 21 games left in the season. You imagine they're going to finish in the top 4. It's kind of secured. They've got a big 6-game streak coming up against all the top teams, starting with the Mavs tomorrow. Then they're working their way. I think Golden State's their easiest game in a 7-game stretch, which is pretty tough. So that'll be interesting to see what they can kind of pull out of it against these top tiers. But Tease Tybal as well, kind of offensively just being not there. But defensively just being ridiculous. You know what I mean? Now he's a declared Aussie. We have to include him in the mix. So
there's this Pelicans game. I'm just looking at the box score. 14 players used on the night.
Yeah.
Holy moly! Mike Scott, Reed, Howard, Maxey, Thibault, Milton, Korkmaz, Joe, and Jones.
Kyra trying to stay in front of Jake Milton.
I think that Doc pulled the pin pretty late, early into the fourth.
And then Seth Curry, 0 of 7, donut in 26
Seth
minutes.
Curry's been a little bit just trash.
Yeah.
Like,
he can go through those sorts of stretches, but because I've seen a little bit of him, and he's always kind of been, it looks great, it's shiny, you see it, and then you kind of get up close to it, and you're just a bit like, oh, it's actually not. Look, there's a little scratch there. Oh, there's a couple of cracks down here. You can't see them when it's sitting in the trophy case up there. But still, the true test of him will come in these playoff scenarios. I think he's always, for especially for Portland, he's kind of got that underrated, nobody believes in him type thing in the playoffs. And whether he fulfills that or not, that's going to be a huge thing, I think, for the 76ers going into these playoffs. Because, look, Embiid, Simmons, you're pretty happy with in a playoff scenario. Danny Green's got experience. He's got a couple of rings. Harris, you're gonna go into the finals and into the playoffs rather, and hope he stays on the same course that he's been at, and he's been pretty good.
Yep.
And kind of beyond that, Howard, a bit of goon off the bench, Scott, Maxey and Thibault. I think there's Shake Milton and Thibault and Korkmaz. I think there's definitely a level that this team can play at, where the impact that these kind of next tier guys have to have isn't necessarily going to take them to a championship. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of role players who can put together a little postseason resume that makes you go, oh wow, actually had a really good postseason and was a real contributor if they make it sort of out of the East.
I'd agree, yeah. And that's really what it's about. But it's also about not taking teams down a 7-game stretch and trying to win these in 4 games, so you're keeping your big men fresh, because Embiid's in career best form. Simmons is defensively a behemoth. Tobias Harris is in career best form. So these kind of 21 games down the stretch of the season, you really want it to be about, let's get some of these other guys in the rotation some minutes. Let's keep our stars, fit but not overworked. 26 to 30 minutes light. And I think Doc is doing that. If you look at it, Simmons has been playing 28 minutes a night and being 29 minutes. It's not been playing huge minutes. And I think that's the intelligent thing. Get enough wins to get you first or second seed, and then, play it down the stretch when, we're still at, 20% capacity, and crowds are not going to be as big, because I think next season you really are going to see that home and away presence felt much more than this year. I think the fans coming back for all the teams will give more of a vibe of the game than we've been seeing this year. So, well, look, interesting stretch with Philly coming up, 7 games. Let's see what they can pull out there.
Let's stay with the East and just quickly have a look at the Toronto Raptors. A little health check on the Raptors. Weren't
pretty much been booted out of the rotation. They've just signed Keem Birch, waived from the Magic, and so now Baines isn't even playing.
Poor old Bainesy.
Yeah, it's like that team is just terrible, though.
It was. I don't know if it's really that bad. It was bad, but I don't think it was supposed to. Like, it shouldn't be that bad. Yeah. Really? You're not feeling that? I'm looking at that team going, man, you guys still should comfortably be probably, 6th seed.
No, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, that's really going to struggle. They're going to have to fight for the play-in spot. I guess looking at the rest of this East, Detroit on the bottom, Magic, and then Cleveland and the Wizards. You're probably not going to see those guys get up into 25, 27 win mark from here. That's going to snatch a seeding. But then if you look at the Raptors, Bulls, Pacers, like that's a pretty tough 3-team kind of gauntlet. I think all 3 of those teams are probably on the same level, except maybe the Bulls are fighting up a place a little bit, and maybe the Pacers have probably dropped a place a little bit.
Yeah.
Because these screaming Hornets, man, like these Hornets are up in 6, even though LaMelo's out for the season. They're up in 6, up in the 6th seed, 27 and 25. Like, that's really where I think Toronto should be.
It is where Toronto should be with the level of experience they've got in that team. And Chris Boucher putting up 38 points and 20 rebounds. Like, it just seems like maybe Lowry and Van Fleet aren't delivering as much as they could be. They should be higher than that. I mean, it's been pretty hard as well because they've not been playing at home. It's been no fans, playing in Florida. It's a little bit of like the Breakers in Australia. I mean, how much can you win based on just, being somewhere and, going on the road all the time, playing teams in their home and they're not going to your court. So it's kind of been a weird season for them. And I don't think that's going to change next year. I don't know if the borders will open with Canada because they're very, very strict up there. So, I think Bainesy probably might see the transfer market come the end of the year.
Yeah, it was a pretty tough.
I wish he'd stayed in Phoenix. I wish he'd stayed in Phoenix.
Yeah, it would have been a really good team to watch. Even though I'm not a big fan of Chris Paul, and most people who watch this probably know that. But I think him getting the money is great for him. But I remember saying at the start of the season, I was like, that's an overpay, man. Like, who knows what kind of effectiveness he's going to have post-COVID, as well as, physically. I don't think he's the same player. And like schematically on a team like Toronto, where you kind of need all you guys to be all-around defensive players and scorers, I never thought Bainesy would fit into this team. And looking at some of these past performances in the loss against Chicago, 6 points in 18 minutes, 9 points in 12 minutes against the Lakers. In the win against Washington, he had 10 points in 21 minutes, 8 rebounds. It's not too bad. That huge win against the Warriors, he played 24 minutes, a little bit of garbage time for him, 5 points. I don't know, man. I just come down, Sydney. Come to Sydney Kings.
Probably think he's probably got another year or 2 left.
I think he's probably got 2 years. But I look at Toronto at this level. I feel like he's more of a Charlotte at this level player, really. Like, I think if he was to be in a team where Toronto was up in 6th seed, 5th seed, you might go, yeah, okay, maybe he's not at this level. But I think a team like Toronto probably shouldn't be in where they are at the moment. And I think Baines isn't really given a reflection of his own game in this team. It's kind of a bit of a weird situation.
I also think that's a Nick Nurse kind of lack of a pass first point guard. I think that's if I'm going to say first. Like last year at the Suns, you really just like, all right, Ricky Rubio drives and kicks it to Bainesy, who's on the perimeter and shoots. That was a
lot of pick and pop.
A lot of pick and pop, and we just don't see that at all in Toronto.
Yes, the Raptors will keep a close eye on them. Feel good story. Delhi's back for the Cavs.
He is. He's playing really well. which is even better. His shot's terrible, but defensively, offensively on the dime side of things, man, he's putting diming a lot in a short period of time. I mean, it's good to watch. The Cavs not good to watch, but
yeah, it's hard to watch.
Fun to watch.
I think they are quite fun. I like watching Jared Allen, and I'm wondering if how many of his dimes are to Jared Allen. I always feel like he's got a nice read with bigs, especially rolling bigs. If you're a good rolling big, Delhi will find you. He's good at finding guys. So somebody on the I think it was the Hornets telecast goes, man, when Delhi shoots it, it looks like it hurts him. I was like, oh, brutal, man. Oh, especially after you remade his jump shot, there was a lot of kind of fanfare made about him trying to change his shot for the better. I don't know. It kind of looks worse, and it kind of isn't coming off. He should just go back to how he was shooting him before. He started to shoot him like way above his head more, like.
Yeah.
But yeah, dime wise, Dime Lord. I named him the Dime Lord.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's what it is. He's definitely Dime Lord. But it's good to see him back. It's good because ultimately he's going to be potentially an important part of the Tokyo Olympic team. We want him to have match fit game time. It's also good to keep presences from the Aussies in the NBA. And yeah, man, it's good to see him back and good to see him playing some b-ball, even though it's Cleveland. I think he'll be there for years to come, man. I think he's just part of the furniture, and we'll just see Delhi,
Yeah, see out his kind of contract and then maybe get another vet min or something like that. Or
yeah, I mean, in a rebuilding team that really does not have a true point guard in the sense. I think Colin Sexton's more of a shooting guard, and so is really Darius Garland. Like they're point guards, but they're not facilitating point guards. They're more of a score first and not pass first. And it's Delhi's going to be an important part of potentially rebuilding that team and getting it somewhere. But look, they're not out of the play-in yet. I think they're still very mathematically a chance to potentially get into the play-in, but it's going to be very unlikely.
yeah, it says here he's got an abdominal injury. Interesting. So hopefully that's not too bad. He's unrestricted free agent next year at 31. They should just re-sign him minimum for the minimum. He's making 1.6 to their cap, so that's a pretty good price for him. Or just come down to the NBL, take over from Casper Ware.
Could be.
So just looking at this, 10 assists against the Pelicans in a loss. Then he had none against the Raptors in 17 minutes. Then he played 21 against OKC. He had 7 assists, and then 5 assists against Spurs in a win, and then 5 assists against Miami. And a lot of these games where they're putting up 120, 115, 109 in a loss, this team can score the ball. So it's not a horrible team. It's hard to watch a little bit, but I'm enjoying kind of seeing him back on the court. It's old, it's just old school Delhi.
Yeah.
It's good. And that rounds out the East Aussies, I believe. Yep.
Yes.
The Jazz.
Joe Ingles, man.
They're on top. It's been a bit of a ding-dong battle. I think didn't the Phoenix sneak slightly into top spot at one point there?
Like a minute.
Yeah, I think for one game or something.
The Jazz just going on a tear again, man. Joe Ingles is phenomenal. We blasted him at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Maybe being a little bit unmatched fit, but in true Joe Ingles styles, he just gets match fit and then he's killing it. I think he's on target to have the highest true scoring percentage season in NBA history. And he's scoring. I think he's had his high score this year. He's averaging 50, close to 50 in the last 20 games from the 3 ball. Diming up Gobert.
Shooting the 3. I'm just looking through his stats here. Shooting in March, 55% from the field, 54% from 3. Wow, just unbelievable. Let's go back. Well, let's go back to February. We got 52% from the field, 46% from 3. So just getting hotter and hotter. And it couldn't happen to a nicer guy, man.
Yeah.
I hope if for one reason, the Jazz do make it out of the West.
I just don't believe them in the postseason.
I don't either. Why are we whispering? But it's true, man. I'm not convinced. They're again like the Bucks, where I'm like, yeah, Giannis is mad, but I want to see him actually climb the summit. Like, I'm not sitting here going, yep, he's going to win a title. I'm going, no. I need to see this to believe it. It's like the moon landing, man. And I think the Jazz are in a similar position here. It's like, whoa. I'm not putting money down until I see this team win a championship. But I think as the playoffs get closer, we'll talk a little bit more about the Jazz's chances. This is a fun team to watch too, man. Like, I think it was getting hard to watch Gobert because he was a little bit predictable last year, where you were just like, and he comes out on the perimeter, gets rinsed, and nobody can find him underneath, and like he's just, out of control everywhere, and like really just doesn't fit. And then Mike Conley comes in, and you're like, that doesn't work. And so I think it was a legitimate concern to start the season and just go, they got to solve a couple of things here before we start sort of saying, this team is a team that can go into the postseason with some sort of projection to maybe even getting out of the West. But did you expect them to hit the kind of heights that they're hitting at the moment? What are they, 40-13? They're kind of looking a bit unbeatable too.
They're looking unbeatable, but I think that's because their style of basketball is so different to what everyone else is playing. That I think when you play in the ever realm of regular season, and you play them once, you're just like, whoa, what the fuck? Where did that come from? But I think playing them in a 7-game home and away stretch, you're like, okay, if we just move Gobert around here a little bit, and if we just get in Ingles' face and we don't let him get, to the pick and roll with Gobert, and maybe we get, Clarkson and we push him around a bit, and maybe he kind of falters a bit. That's really kind of where you're like, okay, can they be outplayed in 7 games? And that's where, like, I think that, the true coaches, I mean, Quinn Snyder is a good coach, but he's been limited in the postseason for various reasons. I do think Mitchell is definitely a year older and a year wiser. He's got an MVP year somewhere in his career. I'm going to say that now. I think he is the most underrated player in this league. He is he's 6'1". His true height is 6'1". Like, we just don't see 6'1" players play like he does anymore. Really, probably Chris Paul is the only other 6'1" player.
Is he 6'1"? I thought he was 6'3".
No, he's 6'1". He's 6'3" listed, but when you look at his actual height, 6'1.5".
Yeah, let's see what it says on Wiki. He is 6'1", 185, same height as us.
Yeah, man. That's what the crazy thing about it is, isn't it? It's just like, when do you see a 6'1" player dominate the league like he does?
Feels like he plays so much bigger than that, though.
He feels like he's 6'5". And that's the crazy thing. I mean, it's kind of that Derrick Rose syndrome. Again, he will be as good as his athleticism lasts. I think that's probably where his limitations. Do I think he has an MVP season? Yeah, man, he's pretty robust. He's very hardy, and I think he's got an MVP season in. And that's really the crux of it, is that you've got probably another year or two of prime fit Mitchell, solid Joe Ingles, Clarkson. Maybe you're missing like that kind of really crafty backup big. Derek Faze is okay. You've got Bogdanovic. The Jazz really need to win in the next 2 years. Otherwise, it's all over and blow it up.
Yeah, if you look at what their roster is, though, I don't like for how kind of Bogdanovic and Ingles glue this team together. Like, Bogdanovic is 31, Ingles 33. Ilyasova, they picked him up. I did not know that. Rudy's 28. I think, yeah, their window is probably 3 or 4 years, but they're gonna have to replace, a couple of those players in there, like perfectly. Like, there's no way they can kind of skirt, unless they win this season, they go back to back. Then you're like, okay, they could probably string Ingles out for another couple of years, and Bogdanovic probably string out for another couple of years as well. Clarkson's only 28, Favors 29, Rudy's 28, D Mitchell, and it's also a team where I don't think you're going to have to really, maybe it is that you're going to have to kind of find gem finds to fix this team.
No.
Like, But at the same time, they could easily go these next 4 years, and it's just like, oh, they didn't even get in. They choked. They didn't even get anywhere near the playoffs. Like, what could have been sliding doors moment type team. It also has that written all over it, really.
It does. That's my worry in the postseason. It's just like they get up against the Clippers and Kawhi just annihilates them in 4 games. That's honestly my worry. And the Clippers seem to be getting stronger. They signed Rondo. Rondo's a crafty postseason player. He's been there before. He's done it. They've got players that have been there and done that, and I just don't think the Jazz have one player that is like 32 and been like, yeah, I've hit the mountain. I know what it's like. This is how we get there, boys. I just don't think, and I don't think Quinn Snyder is just like, this is how we get there, boys.
Yeah, I don't think they have a single championship on their roster.
That's my greatest, and it's for me. I'll go a little bit off Aussie topic here. That's the Denver Nuggets as well. I think they're really exciting. They play well, but it's just like, and you're going to get outcoached in the postseason, and we're just going to exploit this, and we're going to exploit that, and it's going to be Kawhi and PG, or Pat Beverly's going to get in Jamal Murray's face. It's all going to be over. And it's just like there's these little exploitable bits.
Let's be honest. Pat Beverly's going to like near injure him, and everyone's just gonna be like, "How great is Pat Beverly's hustle?" And you're just gonna be like, "Just nearly injured him a bunch of times, man.
This
Get
dude
out of
lived
here."
in a car. Let's let him. But that's for me is the Nuggets as well, and that's really what it comes down to. Is just there's just not that exciting team. Great to watch.
Yeah, definitely. So one of the rare things I was just looking through their schedule for the whole season. One of the rare things about this season is a lot of like, do you feel like a lot of back-to-backs, it's just win-loss for other, like just around the league, you're always seeing like, oh, the Grizzlies are playing Oklahoma. Oh yeah, sweet. They, OKC won this game. And then you're like, oh, and the next day, oh, Grizzlies are playing Oklahoma again. And then the Grizzlies just win by 20. Like you're seeing these win-loss. If you look at the this Jazz team, they beat the Pels twice in January. They beat Dallas twice in January. They lost against the Clippers, so a big team. Memphis they beat twice, and I think that's it for their back-to-back. So they haven't really played that many back-to-back games. Like, do you feel like some teams are just like, what the hell, man? I've seen these two teams play like a bunch of times. What the hell are these two teams playing back-to-back? And then to me, I just feel like every one of those that happen is like win-loss. Like, no, like split them 50-50.
Philly very much like that.
Yeah, so to your point where you were sort of saying, if you really get time to scheme this Utah team or work them out, very interesting because they are kind of beating teams on back-to-backs in the very few occasions that they had. So yeah, it'd be interesting to kind of watch this space on that the Jazz team. Moving along in the Aussies, Josh Green, SOS.
No, he's just a deep first round pick. Rick
picking up towels.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look, the Mavs have gone on a bit of a run, but it's all facade. It's
yeah. Let's talk about that because it's just, hey, you playing well, Luka? Yep. All right, sweet. He's winning games. Like the odd, and it isn't even like, oh, you're going to dominate games, you're going to win lots of games. It's still like the here and there push pull type thing, and it's like, Luka, you playing well? Nah, and it's like, well, you're not going to win this game.
Well, it's also like it's regular season, and Luka's not going to, like in the postseason, just be like, yeah, Kawhi, yep, LeBron, yep, MPJ, just get on him, and I think Simmons did it in one game where Philly played, and it's just like, yeah, Luka just couldn't score, and Simmons shut him down, and that was it, game over. Like it's a really easy formula to beat the Mavericks is you shut Luka Doncic down and you take away the passing lanes, and it's an easy win. And you just got to have one good defender in the league, in your team, and that's Paul George or LeBron or Simmons or anyone that's half decent defender that can take space away from him, can beat him off the step and can defend. It's all over, and that's what it is. And Josh Green's had some minutes and it's good, and he's getting in there, and he hopefully be part of this league for a long time, but. Typical Rick Carlisle first year.
Yeah, hurts, man. Him going to that team is just brutal. I'm looking at the game log. Played 21 minutes against Washington in the win, 4 points. That's a decent outing for him. 3 minutes against Houston in that loss. 1 minute against the Bucks in their win. And just, it's just, points here and there, minutes here and there. I don't know. It's
This feels very Dingadell. Hey, just stand in the corner.
just this whole Dallas thing around why do they take guys to just go, you know what, they were good in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why are you taking a guy at 18 and then stashing him? And I guess we're biased and salty that, we want to see this guy play. And then you kind of look through the history of Rick Carlisle and you're like, oh yeah, he's kind of done this a lot over the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, it's different, like different teams' philosophy. Like I've looked at some of the Philly rookies over the last few years, and you look at Shamet, who kind of reached his peak with Philly and then just fell out of favor with everyone. Kind of went to the Clippers and then went to the Nets, and just like hasn't ever recovered from that. Glory of like, let's get this rookie to do this, and that's all he's going to do, and he's going to be really good at it, and we're going to get this guy to teach him how to do that, and bang, you've got a recipe. Whereas everyone else, I think, is just like, they expect this guy to be like a 3-and-D player and just to slot in, just like, no, this is your first year, this is what you do, and move on. But it doesn't seem like Rick Carlisle can do that. It's just like, Luka, every possession,
Yeah. He just uses the bench. Somebody said it on Twitter. He just uses the bench to give minutes to his stars. And like they could be good, they could be bad, doesn't matter. It's just like, you gave me 6 minutes and that let me rest this guy for 6 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I hate that way of coaching. To me, I don't like that at all. And
ultimately it will not lead you to a title.
well, I think at one time it did, but that was an era where that was totally different. And having one guy be a unique player do that's where, yeah, okay, that's going to happen. Lightning in a bottle type scenario.
I don't think Luka will ever be what Dirk Nowitzki was.
Nah, I don't think he's unique enough as a scorer,
I think he's unique enough as a
shot maker?
Not even a shot maker, but just a kind of a weird anomaly in the league where there's just like, he's not super athletic, he's really crafty, and he can shoot the ball. But there's just something a bit like, is it real, or are we just entering the matrix? Is he a non-fungible token? We're just not too sure. You know what I mean? Like it's just an NFT of the league where you're just like, it's really, is it hype? It's just all hype. Is it Dirk Nowitzki, was a 24 and 10 guy a night for 10 years before they ever hit a championship, where it's just like, Luka, we got to win one of the next 6 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And also Dirk was 7 foot, and it was just like maybe a handful of guys in the league could guard him properly.
Yeah.
Whereas Luka, how many of these 6'6" to 6'10" guys are emerging where they don't even need to be the best defender in the league. They don't even need to be great as players, but you can still just like, just get up in his face a little bit. Give me 6 minutes of just like pestering him a little bit. And he goes to water as well. That's the other thing too. I've noticed is he just throws the toys out of the pram so quickly. When dude's like he was complaining at the start of the season so much, and you're just like, bro, like, get over it. Like, what are you like? This is making it hard for you, hard to watch. And that was basically why I was kind of like, man, I'm out on this dude. Like, I can't watch this. And he, post All-Star, he's put it together, and fair enough. But I think ultimately the heartbeat rests on his shoulders in this team. And even that as a product, I'm like, I'm not into that.
Not buying it.
No, I'm not buying it. Patty Mills on the Spurs.
They've quietly just put on a few losses and slipped down the
just
ladder.
After we were like, what the hell? How are they the 4th seed? That doesn't even, or 5th seed. It doesn't even make sense. Now suddenly they're 25 and 26, really struggling to stay in that the play-in tournament. I really think the Pels are gonna like just leapfrog all these teams, possibly even get into Dallas territory in the 7th seed.
I do. I think that if they can put it together, I mean, Zion is just a freak.
He's out of this world, man.
There's just something watching him just bully everyone and just be like, when he's going to the basket, there's not really much you can do to stop him. It's just whether he misses or not. It's got nothing to do with how you defend him, because he just goes around you. You can move in midair, you can twist. He's so bouncy. defend, and is so quick off the step. You're just like, well, what do you do?
Look, against the Cavs, 36 minutes, 16 of 22, 6 of 8 from the free throw line, 9 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, 38 points. It's just crazy. I'm going to read one more out. Come back to
read out the Philly game.
Oh, come on. Won't let me. It's having an issue. Here we go. 37 points, 15 of 28, 7-11 from the free throw line, 15 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 turnovers, but 37 points on 15. It's like a game. It's a video game, man. It's like
2K. Broke 2K.
It's 2K, man. Like, it's like you made a chub power forward in 2K and you just take every shot. Everyone gets out of the way. The AI is a bit sus, and you know how to exploit the AI where it's like, oh, sweet. If I just get the tiniest little thing, the AI is going to glitch and then I'm just wide open and you just go up and score. Like, you know what I mean? Oh, it's crazy. It's awesome to watch, bud. Yeah. Just looking at Patty Mills' stats, 22 minutes. He's averaging around 22 minutes at the moment. 12 points. He's averaging 12 points on 11.4 PER, but against Denver, 12 points. Against Indiana in overtime, these were both losses. So they just quietly ripped off 5 losses in a row, and that's where they slumped. And then they beat Dallas today, 119, 117. He had 6 points off the bench.
You just see them go in these little wave runs where they pick up and go down, pick up and go down.
And they started quite strong at the start of the season. No LaMarcus Aldridge anymore, so that's one thing you got to kind of go, oh yeah, no LaMarcus. Like, that's interesting. The post trade era. I'm just looking at their depth chart. Come on. So Murray with Patty off the bench, then Derek White and Lonnie Walker off the bench, then DeMar DeRozan and Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson and Rudy Gay, and then Jakob Poeltl, and they picked up Gorgie Deng on a day-to-day. Oh, injured day-to-day. I think they picked him up on a
tender,
guaranteed. No, it was a tender. I think it was guaranteed to the end of the season.
Yeah, picked him up from Memphis. He's away by Memphis. I don't know, man. There's some better players around the league. Thon.
Somebody sign up Thon, yeah. But yeah, I think that kind of rounds it out. Then Houston Rockets, and then Dante's not playing. He's not back yet. So Will Magnay? Have we seen any Will Magnay?
No, Will hasn't made an appearance since that lovely 2-minute, 1 turnover, 1 foul.
William Magnay, 1 minute. 1 game, 3 minutes, 1 turnover, 1 foul, minus 30.82 PER. poor dude. He has attempted 1 field goal though.
So we may see more. I think Stephen Adams maybe.
Yeah, I think Will Magnay, if he does progress, is going to be a couple of years away. Yeah. If he does progress. I don't think he was at a level where he deserves to go to the NBA and have a crack at it. Like the kind of peaks we saw from like a Froling or a Humphreys, were just like, wow, 7 foot and beastly. Okay, this could actually work in the league. Like, I think Magnay's got more of a, a slender, leaner build as a big, not like a massive dude.
Yeah. And
Bogut when he was drafted, he was still like a big 7-footer, like not a small, like not like he was when he finished his career, where it was just like a noodle basically, and he lost all that weight. So it'll be interesting to see how Magnay's body progresses, even if he does like a 2-year stint at the Pels in the G League, just to see if he like beefs up a little bit and comes back to the NBL with some of that beef on him. I think that's it. We've covered everyone. Do you want to talk wider league just quickly?
Yeah,
Suns just what the hell, man?
Yeah, Chris Paul, man. It's the Chris Paul effect. It's bad though. Like you don't like Chris Paul, but there is a Chris Paul effect. How did he take that OKC team one win, like 2 points away from what the Western Conference Finals? He took the Rockets, except he was injured.
That was kind of like I feel like that sapped. That was like a movable object and unstoppable force situation. Like Harden and Chris Paul on that team was kind of like yin and yang type of thing. Whereas you put him in that OKC situation and you're just like, oh yeah, this guy still has it on a team with nobody, and he dragged him through. And then you kind of make this like it's a redemption type thing where he takes another step up where it's just like, oh, you paired him with one of the really, really kind of big rising stars looking to make a breakout in the right environment in Devin Booker. And suddenly it's just like, wow, he's found his voice on this team. Like, and that's not a horror, like it's not a horrible team to go into. Sorry, that's a terrible way to put it. Like that's actually quite a well-rounded team. Like it wasn't an awful team. Like it was, Devin Booker. Now it's got like Torrey Craig's on that team, Jay Crowder, Kaminsky's still there. Payne has been quite good in here and there. Dario Saric is like another underrated, like, you could get like a little hustle out of him.
I was always thought Dario Saric was a very underrated player.
And then Ayton and Bridges, who have been projecting in the last couple of seasons as rookies going kind of upward in their career. It's a pretty good team, man. I think they've got I don't think they've got, coming out of the West in their locker. I'm still like in a Jazz scenario just going, I'm not believing that until I see it. I also think like, but there's a karma thing, man. Like there's a basketball karma thing with Harden and Chris Paul, that if you just flop around a lot and act like a dick on the court, like you don't get rewarded with winning championships and stuff like that. So there's still, I think, Chris Paul's kind of, and even Harden with the Nets this season, they kind of got to vanquish that karma demon, man, in my opinion. Like I'm going like spiritual on basketball here, but I still think there's something in the fact that if you flop around and act like a fucking douchebag on the court, like you don't win championships.
Yeah.
Like as much as like LeBron, what is it? LeBron, Curry, and then Dirk, even in last decade, like these weren't guys winning championships that were dark arts masters, really. And I still think there's a kind of basketball karma that sorts those guys out. So, I look at the Suns team and the Nets team and I'm like, okay, you got to overcome something a little bit more than basketball, in my opinion, to get a bit spiritual.
Indeed.
What else? New York Knicks? What do you think about the Knicks in the 8th seed?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's problematic.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I like where they're heading, man. I'm like, this could be a decent team in 2 or 3 seasons.
Nice young players. Look, it's hard to tell where this league's going. We haven't really seen like a rookie since kind of Embiid or Booker or Simmons or Tatum come out like, yeah, this guy could, fill the league up, take teams all the way. I know I'm still not sold on Ayton as being the number 1 pick.
Ayton?
Yeah.
Back on Phoenix?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still not sold as him being the number 1 pick.
He's kind of like a rich man's Bagley.
Yeah.
I still like him though as a player, and he can shoot a jumper too. It's always like, if you're on a team like the Suns, with the Chris Paul, the Booker, the Chubb guys like Crowder and those guys around him, I'm kind of like, you're okay. Pat him on the head. He can shoot a jumper. Like you're gonna be all right.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Ayton anyway?
Oh, look, he's a good player. I just don't think he's ever going to rise to that number 1 pick. I think he'll make it somewhere, but doesn't seem to have the real mongrel monster in his DNA.
We'll have to wait and see. Hornets just quietly 27 and 25.
Atlanta just quietly like coming up to like 3rd or 4th spot.
Yeah, they're in 4th, 29 and 25. What are they projecting at? That's some crazy. They have 4 wins in a row. And they have 6 wins in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wins in a row. Beating the Lakers, the Rockets in that run, Thunder and Cavs, Kings, Raptors. I mean, that was a pretty weak stretch.
Yeah, they've got to prove themselves. But I mean, John Collins, man, he's wanted out of there for ages. Yet he still seems to be the one putting up the numbers. Yeah, and Trae Young, I'm just not sold on again. Like,
Trae Young's always going to kind of exist in its own new wave. Like
it's like theoretical, just like his hair.
It's like a hologram. Because his scoring and his play is like, I don't know. I had the explanation before I said that, but it's just not it's like a mirage, man. It really is. It's a weird thing to watch where it's like, he's scoring 25 a night. And you're like, yeah, but he's taking like 18 shots a game. And some of those are bad ones. And then when he takes a lot of bad ones, they don't win. And you're like, that's kind of a red flag. It's kind of showing you something a little bit. And it's not great to watch. Like, it's not great. Like, I don't know. I'm a bit biased with Curry over the last like 6 years or the 6 years preceding like 2019. He would knock down shots. Like, he wasn't a like, give me the ball, I'm going to rinse everyone and just take a shot and it's going to go down. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That was different though. I think that's generational as opposed to like a kind of a shoot first point guard who can throw up a lob for Clint Capella to finish.
And then Gallinari's been playing a little bit better as well.
Yeah, Bogdanovic. It's a decent team. It's just whether they could put it together. I think Nate McMillan's really done wonders in terms of coaching there. I think that's
who was their other coach? Lloyd Pierce, I think it was.
Lloyd Pierce, yeah.
Just... See, it was like, we're bringing in Nate McMillan as your backup. It's like, oh my god, I'm gonna be sacked. You just feel like
Nate's a decent coach.
Yeah, he's a good coach. He had a couple of good runs with Indiana, get him to the playoffs. I remember that one year. It was Paul George when they ran a bunch of shitty plays at the end of those Cavs games, and we were just like, "What are you doing, Nate McMillan?"
They had Lance Stevenson on the team as well.
Oh yeah, that's right. And was he blowing in LeBron's ear or something? Was he?
Yeah.
Hilarious. Charlotte. What? Anything else? You got any other?
Nah, that's pretty much it. Just been coping up with the Aussies. I think what we'll do this season is instead of doing half yearly reviews, we'll do full playoff previews. So the run into the playoffs, and then we'll do commiseration reviews for the teams that don't make it.
Yeah, because what are we projecting to have? Maybe Josh Green in the finals and the playoffs.
Actually,
and then
the only Aussie
Philly.
that's probably going to miss out is probably Exum, and that would be a very short wrap up. And
Bainesy.
Delhi and Bainesy potentially.
Delhi and Bainesy. So that strikes off half of them already.
Pretty much. It's like Simmons and Ingles. Patty
Yeah,
Mills.
sweet. That's as long as Utah go deep, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm following them. Utah's my pick, my shoe-in of the week. All right, thank you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube. We're live on YouTube at the moment. I'll put these up in audio form on SoundCloud and on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Podcast Addict. And we will see you guys on the next episode.
Peace out.